it seems like sometimes they sneeze and go viral, and it's like, well, my God, could I do that? Could I do that? Could I sneeze?
Access denied. Access denied. Access denied.
Hey y'all, it's your host Jessica Jordan, and I'm here on Access Denied, the podcast dedicated to helping you get over your fear of rejection, one episode at a time. Let's go!
Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Access Denied. I am so excited because today I am joined by my friend Benjamin Camras, who's also known as the Flirt Coach. Benjamin is an amazing content creator, dating coach, and podcast host. In today's episode, we cover a wide range of topics, to what it's like to fully transition your career, to the comparison game of social media, and the 3 types of rejection that people experience in flirting and dating. You're not gonna wanna miss out on this one, y'all. Benjamin is such a hoot. Let's dive in.
Benjamin, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Jessica. It's nice to see you again, and thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm very excited for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here. I know like a few months ago, I was just on your podcast and that was how we got introduced. And I'm just so excited that like I get to hear your story now and get to know you and share your message with my audience. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, I'm ready too. It's nice to be on this side of the mic where it's like I just get to kind of sit back, chill, and talk this time around.
Absolutely. Like it's going to be easy breezy. We're going to have a good time.
All right.
The goal here is to bring positive energy and joy, and and you're really good at that. That's like your whole like personality, and that's why when I found you on the internet, I was immediately drawn to you. I'm so excited like that we've connected now because you're just such a positive ray of sunshine all the time, and you bring light to my day whenever I scroll past your stuff, and I'm like, oh, there you are. I get to learn something like positive today.
Thank you. I feel the same way. Yeah, about you, of course. It's like, I'm all about BFE, big flirt energy. So
yes. Oh my God, I love BFE.
That's what we're bringing today.
Absolutely. Actually, I would love for you, because you always introduce yourself in your videos by saying, I'm a gay Libra. Can you say in your own words what that means? Like introduce yourself, what does that mean to you?
Yes. Well, hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and a gay Libra. And the gay Libra part really just came into play. It's like because you create a lot of content and videos as well, and I feel like this was a big thing through 2023 when I was really starting to show up online, was you had to give your credentials. You had to let the audience know, right, whether they had clicked follow or they were seeing your face for the first time, or maybe had seen you just here and there kind of thing. Who are you, right? What's your title, your position, what you got to offer? And it never really felt natural to me to be like, oh, I'm a coach, or, oh, I'm a dating coach, or, sort of giving my credentials in that way, which I do have actual real life coaching certifications that I don't talk about. But I went through quite a while, or quite many months, about a year and a half of coaching training. But I was like, I can't lead with that. That's just not really it for me. So it was like, okay, what is it? Flirt Coach definitely stuck. And then it's like, what is my other credential? What else can I offer? Gay Libra it is. That's the one. That's the one in the combination of things that stuck. And so that's how I established my, I guess, position of authority as someone in this dating space giving dating and flirting advice to the internet, which is so wild.
I adore that so much. I think that because it makes you stand out. One of my first videos I saw of yours, it was like, I'm the Flirt Coach and I'm a gay Libra. And I was like, instantly, I'm tuned in, because that's just so unique. And as somebody who also loves astrology, I was like, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. It says a lot about me too. And honestly, who better to teach people how to flirt than a gay Libra? I mean, it's a match made in heaven.
It truly is. I feel like that is the peak credential right there.
That's the one that stuck. I started getting comments right, I didn't follow for the advice. I didn't follow for the mustache, whatever. I followed gay Libra. You got me. And so here we are. It stuck, and I'm not giving it up.
For anybody that listens to my podcast who may not like know astrology, what are like some key characteristics of Libra energy?
Oh, well, Libras are very much, I mean, we are known as the flirts of the zodiac. So we are known as the sign that is very charismatic, perhaps charming, witty, has humor, sarcasm, but really is also known as the peacekeeper, like our official, right, our what not astrological logo, our sign, our symbol is the scales. And so we're always looking for balance. We're looking to just, I think, make connections. And one thing a Libra will do is see things from every angle. Like, we are very much an overthinker. We have a tendency to perhaps be indecisive. And so that's some of the things, or yeah, some of the qualities of being a Libra, but I think lend itself really well to just, yeah, talking about flirting. Like, we're known as the flirts.
Well, you are very charismatic. I feel like that comes across so well in your personality online, and it's coming across very well right now. So
Okay, good.
we love to see it. Can you give us a little bit more background into you and your story, how you became the Flirt Coach? Walk us through it.
Yeah, let's see. Do I want to give the long, the short? Maybe like the medium length version. So I had this was a big transition that I've really evolved into. I like to say I'm becoming the Flirt Coach, and I am the Flirt Coach, where not that long ago, just over 2 years, I finally put in my notice for my 9-to-5 job. I had a whole career before this where I was a city planner. I did that for over 10 years. It's what I went to school for, and I loved that work, and I loved my jobs and my career. And I, of course, like, no regrets. I see it's all part of the bigger picture, but it always felt like something was missing to me. Like, I wasn't quite on the right path, even if that part of my journey in my life was helping me along the path. I just always knew something wasn't quite right. I was meant for something different, not necessarily something greater, but just something different. And when I started to explore coaching as a career option, honestly, I didn't know anything about it. I found it a little bit cringy even. I think, when you think about coaches in the online space and on the internet, you think about life coaches or health coaches, right? These sort of like almost do-goody, like goody-goody, don't do this, don't do that, just sort of personalities. And I was like, oh God, I don't know, that's not really me. I don't think I see myself doing that, but I was curious. And so I just explored that curiosity and started to pursue coaching and train as a coach, and then quit my job and started my business, and was initially doing health and wellness, and then mindset and career, and just kind of all over the place, really unsure what my thing would be. And then, as I do, is I stay curious. I like to just try different things, and I put up on TikTok one day this video about flirting, and I was just talking about flirting, and that was the first video I ever made. That just, like, as a creator, it's something I love to do, is be creative and create videos. And that one was the first time, and maybe you've had the same experience, where you get those comments where people they're relating to what you're saying. They're like, this is so me, right? I feel seen, like, get out of my head, right? Like, I can't believe this is the first video I'm seeing. What? Like, are you behind me, kind of thing? The first time ever I got those kind of comments, and I just felt so relieved in many ways and elated that I was finally connecting with people through social media. And then I was like, could this be my thing? Like, could flirting, is that, like, really, is that what we're gonna do? And so I sat down with a notebook, and just all of these ideas poured out. I mean, I filled up pages and pages of things I could talk about when it came to flirting. And then the flirting started to evolve into talking about dating. It was like, okay, why would people want to flirt? Like, well, they're using the flirt to talk to their crush or flirt on a first date, or maybe they're in a relationship already. How do I flirt long distance? Like, oh my God, this cute person at the gym. How do I flirt? So it's like, it became also about dating, but it always ties back to my overall mission as the flirt coach, is as being about connection. Like, that's how I ultimately think about flirting, and that's how I talk about it. It's the connection the connections you're gonna make with other people, flirting and dating, platonically, romantically. Like, your relationships are everything. Your friendships, even the connections you have with neighbors or coworkers. It's like, our connections and our relationships are everything. And of course, one of the most important connections you'll ever have in your whole life is the connection you have with yourself. The one you have with yourself is the longest relationship you'll ever have. And I think you said that on my podcast. I'm pretty sure. And so it always comes back to this point of connection, where I just feel it's really my purpose just to help people get to know themselves and maybe evolve, transcend past their shyness, their introverted tendencies, their social anxiety, which is very much part of my story. Like, I can't believe I'm on your podcast, that I have a podcast. I make videos for the internet, like, do coaching. It's something I could have never imagined myself doing, because I had so much anxiety and so much fear and just trouble making connections. It was always very, very difficult for me. And so I love now just saying, like, I am the flirt coach, like becoming this version of myself that just, puts myself out there, takes risks, tries new things, has fear, doing all of it. It's not like that part has gone away. It's not like I don't feel anxious at all. No, all that's still present. It's just I can be with it and then move through it and past it and do things that I could have only ever dreamed I'd be doing.
I adore that so much. I feel like you and I have a very similar mission, like with what we do on the internet, just like encouraging people to like get to know themselves, right? Like, as you said, and had that full circle moment, like, our relationship with ourselves is the longest one that we'll have. And like, I think that is such like a nugget that I want everybody, I'm repeating it because I want everybody to hear that, because it's so important for everything that I feel like we're going to discuss in today's episode, but also like just generally speaking, like in life. I don't know. It's so good. Yeah. One thing I definitely want to dive into, like, the flirt coach sort of trajectory here 100%, but I want to take a step back for a second and go to that transition that you had in your career, because here on Access Denied, I'm really looking to kind of encourage people to do things scared, right? And do things that like push you out of that comfort zone, because that is like, living in the comfort zone isn't truly living. It's not. You have to be willing to make yourself a little uncomfy sometimes. And so I would love to like hear more about that transition, how you worked through that. Like, how long were you contemplating kind of taking a career turn before you actually did it?
Yeah, I feel like I had always had one foot out the door in a way ever since I began my career, because the lifestyle you need to live as a 9-to-5 type of employee, you know, if you're working in an office kind of thing, you're working in corporate or like that kind of environment, it just never worked for me. I don't really do schedules. I don't really do like uniforms, collared shirt, khaki pants, like, you know, the emails back and forth, the policies and procedures. I'm just not really about that. So I knew something was going to have to change. And I knew that for a very, very long time. And when it came down to it, the timing more or less aligned. It was never going to be perfect, but I just the timing, just like things came together. I had gone about as far in my coaching training as I could, absent of actually doing it, like for real, you know, like starting my own business and really starting to advertise and market and talk about it. And the fear part, like, what you said is so true. Like, for me, the fear oftentimes creates this illusion of safety, is how I like to describe it. It's like, It's keeping you, in your comfort zone, but is that comfort zone really comfortable? Like, if you have this inner knowing, this desire, this fire, this passion within you that is just striving for something else, or to figure out something new about yourself, to try something new, it's like that fear keeps you in this kind of lockstep with safety, but that safety isn't exactly safety necessarily. And so that's like really where I was at, and I started to really just I needed to be able to start to transcend that fear, see if I could turn some of that fear into excitement. And then here I am, talking to you about 2.5 years later, and I still have the fear. Like, I still have the anxiety. Like, this idea, this notion that it just goes away is, I don't think so. Like, it's like the Olympics are kind of wrapping up as we're recording, and I guarantee if you talk to any Olympic athlete, let's just take track and field, they're putting their toe up on, the start line, the race is about to start. You don't think they feel nervous? Like, you don't think they feel some anxiety, some fear? What if things go wrong? What if XYZ thing happens? No, of course they have anxiety. Of course they have some fear. But they're able to manifest and turn that fear into excitement, into a different kind of energy. They're able to transcend and move past it. And I think that's really part of my evolution to become the flirt coach, is being able to recognize the fear for what it is, see if I can see it as a teacher, and more so use it for motivation, as a way to get curious, like, why am I feeling this way? And it's, I'll be interested to see, listening, like, as more episodes come out, like, what some of those themes are on your podcast. Like, it might be fear. Like, it's one of those things. Fear is a theme in mine that comes up, just about every guest, because it's such a universal human experience.
100%. I think it's a driver for why I even want to have these conversations with people anyway, because I think it's the number one thing that has held me back, I know, in my life from going after things. Even we were talking right before this show, like, I've been so scared about all the tech things of starting a podcast, and it was it was holding me back from actually starting the thing. So I totally get it. Scary. Mm-hmm. And I love you brought in the Olympic athletes too, because we put them on this pedestal of being they're the number one athletes in the world. Like, we all sit around our TVs and watch them every 4 years, and they have to be terrified. They have to be.
They do. I mean, it's like, you think about, pick whatever, even if you're not a big sports person, you might get into the Olympics. So just pick your favorite athlete or your favorite sport, and they, of course they get nervous. Like, they're competing for an Olympic gold medal, like, amongst the best in the world, with the whole world watching. Of course they're nervous.
100%.
Gotta be. They're human beings too. They are not, not superhuman. It's they've trained very hard to get where they are, for sure. But we all, I think, still have so much more in common than we do. Than we are different from one another.
I agree 100%. I want to ask too, so obviously fear is a very internal thing that kind of holds a lot of us back, I think, in going after things. And especially if we get told no at any point along the journey, it can be so easy to recoil and be like, oh, well, never mind, I guess this isn't going to happen, because it's scary to have that happen. But along those lines, did you have any external barriers to kind of becoming the flirt coach?
I mean, for sure. I mean, some of the external barriers are just learning the whole tech side of things, like, as you were talking about before, right? It's just like recording, and then you get caught up in this comparison aspect of things, where I don't have the newest phone with the clearest camera or the best mic or the best lighting or the best background. Like, I've recorded my whole podcast, and I'm recording this interview right now at my kitchen counter. Like, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, I don't have a podcast room. Like, I don't have any of this stuff. And so those are some of the external barriers. And also just the comparison piece where you're comparing yourself to other people, right? That they have like more followers, more likes, more views, right? There's always going to be someone that has more or is in that position that perhaps you want to be in, where they're going consistently viral. And if you compare yourself, I mean, I won't say you, I mean, I do it all the time. I have to catch myself every single day when I'm doing my flirt search, like looking at videos and seeing what other dating coaches and influencers, what are they posting about? And inevitably it seems like sometimes they sneeze and go viral. And it's like, well, my God, could I do that? Could I do that? Could I sneeze? I mean, I'm being, like somewhat sarcastic, but it's the comparison piece is so real and a deep part of this fear conversation, because it, I think, ties back to this fear of being seen, this fear of what if I'm not good enough? What if I have these dreams and hopes and like this vision for myself, and what if it doesn't happen? Does that mean I failed? Like, so I think the comparison piece keeps, it's very much linked with fear and can act as a way to make it so that you don't try, perhaps, right? So you don't put yourself out there, you don't take a chance. So those are I feel like those are the two of the external barriers that are, coming to mind.
I love that you talk about comparison, because I think that is something that affects people no matter what industry they're in, but particularly on social media, because the numbers are just so blatant there for everybody to view at any time. And it can be really soul crushing if you're like just starting out. And so thank you for sharing that, because I know like it's something that I struggle with myself. I don't know how you can be on social media and not, to be quite honest.
It's tough, because it's like, this is also like, this is our life. This isn't, it's like sometimes, my like I'll have friends or coworkers be like, because I work at Trader Joe's part-time and I teach yoga as well. And it's like, when I'm not there, it's like, oh, have fun on your days off. And I'm like, what days off? What days off? Like, this social media, this isn't just sort of this thing we do. Like, this is our life. Like, this is our career. This is a true passion we have. And when it's, like when that much is tied to it as well, it's like, a video going viral is the difference between, booking a new call or having new people learn about your podcast or just get to know you. It's like, it makes it actually impacts our life in a very big way. But we also can't lose sight, and I have to remind myself of this, of the people that have already chosen to be there, right? And it's like, we've been building communities, and that's so cool when you think about it. Like, what? Like, over the internet? It's so wild.
I love that you said that, because that is something that I feel like is so easy to lose sight of, is all the people that are already in your corner, already cheering you on. Because social media lends itself like, oh, I need that next viral hit. Oh, I need to bring in this many new followers so that I can get to this status, or like whatever it may be. And no, but even if you have 10 people like in your corner cheering you on, that's 10 people.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's true.
I had a friend, actually it was my manager. She went to Lollapalooza with me over the weekend. And she was like, look at all the people around you. There were like 80,000 people that attended Chapel Rowan's set at Lollapalooza.
Oh my God. I saw all those videos.
Oh my God.
Obsessed.
I mean, incredible.
Amazing.
But she's like, imagine seeing this. She's like, you have almost double this amount of people right now following you on social media. She's like, it doesn't seem like much. Oh my God,
you're so right.
Right. Like, you look at those aerial shots of the crowd from Lollapalooza and you're like, oh my God, that's a lot of people. And then you're like, oh wait, if you actually put that like into the numbers of how you see yourself online and like put faces and put like that scope, it's really, it's terrifying in a different way. Like, really.
That's nuts. Yeah, nuts when you think about the visual like that. And to like what you said a moment ago, it's like if you were to walk in a room and you had 10 people be like, yes girl, Jessica, what, like so happy to see you, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, just 10, right? Like 10 10 people. Like, that's actually, think about that last time that's happened to you in your real life. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool. And so it's like, yeah, I always just, yeah, when you get wrapped up in, because like a lot of this, it's this weird duality where like we live some of our life very publicly and put so much out there, but then at the end of the day, like on the other end of the screen, it's me and my phone in my 1-bedroom apartment, or me and my phone in my car, creating for the world. But on this end of the camera, it's just me. And it's this weird kind of like I'm thinking about my overall mission of connection, and like, am I serving my purpose, and like, am I doing it right, and am I showing up the way I want to, am I being authentic, like, is my message getting across? And so you get wrapped up in a lot of those thoughts, which takes away from the fact that like it's so many people have chosen, which it is a choice, chosen to be here and listen and watch and comment. And that's when it's like, keep going, like, Benjamin, keep going, like, just keep going. And you get those messages, comments of support, right? Like, don't stop, thank you so much. It's like, all right, yes, I was comparing myself, I got locked into fear for a moment, I was feeling anxious, I was starting to feel a little bad, but it's like, all right, let's reality check, keep going.
I love that about you, because I feel like you do have this like greater mission, but you share so much of yourself within that. And that is something that I think sets you apart online. And I think anybody that is vulnerable with like their story and who they are, like it does feel more personal, and it does like mean more, because you're so open and vulnerable online. And I love that about your content. And
oh, thank you.
Of course, I genuinely think that is how like you have become so relatable to me, and like so many others. And I think people see that and they're like, wait, he has anxiety too, and he's doing like all of these amazing things. Like, that's great. And like, you can practice the flirt all day long, but it can still be scary. And so,
oh yeah, for sure.
Sure. Well, I do want to get into some flirt questions here as well.
Let's
do it. Because as I know, we've discussed a lot, like, rejection in dating is huge.
Yeah.
And one thing that, like, I want to take this down a very specific angle, but we can kind of make it more general in a second, because I think when it comes to rejection in dating, people always assume like they're the ones getting rejected. It's somebody that's like saying, oh, well, I don't want to be with you anymore, so this is done. But what about the other side of that? Because I think there's a lot of empowerment that is missed on that side as well, when you realize like, oh, I'm not vibing with this anymore. How do I get out of this in a way that is kind and considerate, but also standing in your power and going after what you want? Because that's ultimately the goal.
Yeah. So talking about the ways that we maybe shy away from rejection.
Yeah. And being the rejecter, like being the one that does it. Like, we shy away from that side of it too.
That's a big one. It's, I see rejection plays out in flirting and dating in 3 ways. And the one that usually gets the most attention, the one we focus on, is when somebody rejects us. So they break up with you, or they ghost you, or they don't text you back, or they cancel the date. They like, conversation was going well and then it falls apart kind of thing, or just sort of falls off. And that is perceived as a rejection, and oftentimes rightly so, where you're the one being turned down, from basically just saying the other person, and very concretely, or perhaps not, if it's a ghosting, like, this is a connection I don't wish to explore anymore kind of thing. The rejection can also come into play, which is what you were talking about, where you get to do the same thing. And this is the one I see people struggle with, and this has been something I've struggled with too, is feeling like, talking about Libra traits, people pleaser here, very conflict avoidant, right? Not wanting to ruffle feathers, make someone mad, feeling very guilty and ashamed and just bad about myself if I may do something to hurt or upset somebody else. And that's been a lot of just my own wounds, I'll say, and just patterns of thinking and conditioning that I've had to work through, where it's like, it's not up, we can only live in a way that's authentic to us and express ourselves with respect in the best ways we can. And then it's not up to us to try and, take on someone else's experience or sort of, they get to have their reaction and just internalize and interpret a response that, based on where they're at. And that's not necessarily our responsibility. I mean, that's so much to take on. Another way the rejection comes into play is, and I see this in the flirt all the time, where it's like just classic example, say there's a hot person at the gym and you want to flirt with them because you think they're hot. And then in your mind, you're like, oh, no way. Like, they're hotter than me. No, they would never flirt back with me. No, oh God, I'm so awkward. I'm weird. I wouldn't know what to say. Like, oh, no, I'm sure they're taken, right? They have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Like, oh, they would never flirt back with me. You're rejecting yourself. You're taking yourself out of the flirt, taking away an opportunity to make a connection and going ahead and making an assumption about what another person may say, think, or do. And so I see the rejection coming into the flirt, which plays out in dating as well. So those are, three big ways rejection comes into play. It's tough. Like, it's a question like I've always struggled to answer. It's like, well, if someone rejects me, how do I not take that personally? And I'm like, well, that's a tough one. It's a tough one because it in the moment it feels very personal. It feels like they don't like something about you, or you're not enough something, not good enough, right? At least that's how I feel.
It's so hard. It's one of those things like I've really had to like work on it. I've worked on it in therapy. I've worked on it like just by talking about it with my girlfriends, and like it's hard. It's hard. A lot.
It's hard.
But what I've seen like you say online and like have had several conversations about, like it's not personal because it's not about you, right? Yeah. Like the rejection is about them and like what they want, and just because it's not you doesn't mean anything's wrong with you.
Right.
And that's a so really hard thing to wrap your brain around, though.
It is. It's something I've been working with is reframing rejection as choice. Because even the word rejection is just like such a harsh, just hard word. It's got like these hard consonants in it. And it's just kind of, I feel like it changes the energy. Like you say rejection, and it has this automatically this negative connotation to it. And so reframing it as choice, where the other person is choosing to not pursue a connection further, to not pursue a relationship. But if they have a choice, that means you have a choice too. And so even if those choices aren't necessarily aligned, where this is someone you were interested in, you really liked them, you didn't want to break up, or you wanted to go on that first date, or wherever you're at in the dating process, you now have a choice too about how you want to respond, about how you want to internalize or not internalize someone else's choice, be able to be with those feelings that are coming up, but not have them then become a part of who you are in your story. So it's not like, oh, they're rejecting me because I'm not good enough. No, they made a choice. They didn't want to go on that first date. Cool. Now I have a choice too. I can pursue people that are going to pursue me back. I'm going to make a choice to not tell myself that I'm not good enough or not pretty enough, handsome enough, whatever. Like, no. Like, own who I am and make a choice when I'm ready to date again. If it's now, if it's tomorrow, next week, I'll date again. Like, there's always another flirt.
Always another flirt.
Always another flirt.
That's such a great reframe. I love that. Uh-huh. Making it like sound like a choice too. Like, there's something about the word rejection that it feels, like you said, it has all these hard consonants. It's very, it feels very personal. But choice, it seems more just like abstract in a way, which sounds odd maybe, but like
there's more freedom to it.
That's a great word. It's more, I'm trying to think of what the word I'm actually looking for. Fluid almost in a way.
Ooh, fluid,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what your dating life and your whole life, it's like seeing everything as ultimately a choice, knowing that even with that, there's, of course, there's a lot of privilege that comes with choice. You know, if you really are listening to this and you're in kind of survival mode right now, just day to day, it may not feel like you have a lot of choices, and that can be a very, very real experience. Like, I've been there, but it's just seeing what you do have choice over, and just trusting that you're going to make the best decisions you can. And that's how you start to then just build resilience and confidence and all that good stuff.
100%. Oh, I love this. I also think that, like, when it comes to flirting and like getting rejected and having like these things in life, I love this idea of choice as the reframe, because, like, all right, let's think about it with food, right? Every single day we make a choice of what we're going to eat for the day. And so, like, if you have two things of leftovers, you have pizza or like chicken nuggets, you technically, if you don't go for the pizza, you're rejecting the pizza. And if you have two people in front of you that you're dating and you make a choice, like, it's called rejecting this person, but no, you're just making a choice. I love that.
Yeah.
It takes so much pressure off of it.
Yeah. And that's a really good, I like that example of a lot as well. It's not like you're rejecting one food over the other. It's you're making a choice. And that's ultimately, I hope that's helpful when people are out there dating, making connections, flirting. Yeah. Seeing a lot of it as a choice.
Yeah. You're choosing the pizza, and that's okay. You're allowed to do that.
I know what I'm having for lunch now. I do. It's pizza. I'll be loving some pizza.
Oh, pizza's the best.
So freaking good. Oh my God. I'm excited. This is Insider Tea. Trader Joe's, if you're in the States, is about to get a new gluten-free cheese pizza for all the gluten-free girlies out there, which is me. We only have one gluten-free option right now, which is fantastic, but it's a meat option. So if you're more vegetarian, gluten-free cheese pizza coming.
This is some tea. I'm like loving this. Oh my God.
You won't hear that anywhere else. By the time this debuts, it might already be on your store shelves.
Go out and get that gluten-free cheese.
Yes, gluten-free cheese.
Ladies and gents, absolutely. Wait, okay, I know where I'm going. Trader Joe's is not that far, so I will
Heck
be
yeah,
there.
and if you're in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, come see me, store 745. I'll be there.
Wait, that's so amazing. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I low-key, high-key love my job there. It's so much fun.
So what's your favorite part of working at Trader Joe's?
It's honestly, we're really, like, sometimes I get this question. It's like, do they train you to flirt? No, like, this is really a misconception. We're not trained to flirt, but who they generally hire because customer service and the customer experience is a huge part of just the Trader Joe's culture. And that's how we try and stand out. It's a reason we don't have self-checkout. If you go to a Trader Joe's, you're going to have to talk to at least one person when you're checking out. It's the reason we have so many people on the floor. Go to any other grocery store or type of retail store, and you're like, how often are you constantly searching for someone if you need to ask them a question? Or they like have those little phones on the end caps or in an aisle where you like call over a customer service person or ring the bell. It's like, it seems like you can't always find someone. Not Trader Joe's. There's someone always on the floor, and we generally bring people on. I talk as if I'm like making hiring decisions. I'm not. But people that are people and like having conversations and are curious and ask questions. And so that's one of my favorite things is, like, that's encouraged. And I feel like I just also work with my friends now. It's like we have such a big crew on any given day. There's, 30, 40 of us in the store. Yeah, big crew, and not a super big store. So it's just like we have, honestly, it's fun. And we're also, like, we're selling groceries. It's, it's real. We're selling food. There are standards. There are quality control measures in place for sure, safety standards, but it's also relatively low stress. It's fun.
I love that. And I love you bringing in customer service as being a way to interact with people, right? Like, and yeah. I don't know. I feel like I've obviously been following you for a while and watching your stuff. But you're right. Trader Joe's, like, the people there are very flirtatious, and they are very.
It's
just,
what we're.
like,
It's a reputation. We're known. Like if you've seen a few of those viral videos, they like. I'm thinking of one. I forget the creator, but I must have had this sent to me 20 times. Where it's this, an influencer type comedian role playing as if he's in Trader Joe's and he's being like very egregiously flirtatious. Like we're not gonna look you up and down and hit on you kind of thing. Like that's just inappropriate. And you're there buying groceries ultimately. Like you're not there to be objectified. Certainly not. But I think we will look to have a conversation and make you feel just welcomed in the store. And this is like, I always think back to this. I've heard this from customers before. I've seen this online before where it's like, it goes back to my mission of connection, and just with the world we live in now, so much of we live digitally. You could go through your entire day, you could go through a whole week and not talk to a single person. Depending on your job, if you're working remotely, you're ordering groceries, having them delivered, you're door dashing food, you're texting instead of talking. You could go through a day, a week without actually talking to a single person. And I've heard before, it's like, this is coming into Trader Joe's. This is the first time I talked to a real life human being all day. Or this is the only actual conversation I had face to face all day. And people, I think, need, want, and crave connection, even if it's coming at the daggone grocery store. Like, we need to be connecting with one another, and it actually is that important, even if it's at the grocery store for 5 minutes in the checkout line, 2 minutes.
I can't say how important it is, honestly. Like, anytime I'm at the grocery store, I'm usually stressed. I'm not gonna lie. It's like one of my most stressful tasks, and I don't really have a great reason for it. It just, going there brings me so much anxiety. And so if I were to like go somewhere and people were actually like friendly and like all of that, I think it would make the experience so much better. Because right now I usually just go looking like a gremlin, and I'm like there feeling like a gremlin, and that's just how we're gonna go to the grocery store. But maybe I need to start going to Trader Joe's. Maybe this is like maybe I'm being #influenced right now.
I mean, it's like, and this is not in any way, I just love what I do and I love talking about it because I think it's so important. And go to your local Trader Joe's. And this is sort of like one more slight tangent, like something I was thinking of earlier this week, where it's like, I was thinking about the blue zones. Have you heard of those?
No.
So there's different blue zones. Of course, I forget like the actual facts, like the name of the author, the name of the book. I think it's just called the blue zones, where this guy was looking at places around the world that had the highest life expectancy, the longest longevity. And there's, I think, Okinawa Island in Japan is one. I believe Sicily is one. There's a spot, I think, in Southern California that's one. Like, there's a few different blue zones, and there are others around the world. And that just, they have the greatest life expectancy. And certainly their diet will matter, what they're eating, how they're moving every day, getting some exercise, their connection to nature, getting sunlight. All these things, of course, impact your health and how you feel. But the one thing they truly all have in common is connection. They're experiencing actual real life human interactions every single day. They live as a part of communities. They don't isolate. They're not on their phones nonstop all day, every day. Like, they're actually cultivating connections in their lives. And that, I think, is the number one determinant for quality of life and longevity. It's your relationships and the quality of your relationships. So just coming into the grocery store and having a 2-minute conversation with a checkout person with a giant mustache, like, is that going to make you live to 100? I mean, I'm not going to make that leap, but connection is everything.
That is such a beautiful sentiment, and I think it's so true too. Like, this idea that connection is everything, and the quality of those connections. I love that you emphasize that, because you can be in relationships and they can be bad and toxic for you, and they can actually probably cause from experience they can cause health issues if you're in the wrong and around the wrong people.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like even everyday interactions with people at the grocery store or on public transit, it costs nothing to be kind and just to like
Nothing.
spread community and spread joy and spread happiness throughout the
Yeah.
world, because it does ultimately, like, it matters. I love that. It matters.
It does. Just as simple of, it's so simple of just making eye contact and, headphone culture. Everyone's got their headphones in, perhaps a smile. Like that alone could just truly change someone else's day and change your day too. Like I oftentimes talk about the flirt as an act of service. It's not just a genuine expression of interest without expectations. You could also think of it as an act of service, just looking to make someone feel good, and in turn making yourself feel good. It's really a very optimistic form of communication and of connection.
I love that. I was just saying like I don't remember what it was, but I was saying that something was an act of service instead of something else the other day. And I was like, active service, I feel like, is a big part of the love languages that people like leave out a lot of the time. Yeah,
it's important.
Well, I have just a handful of more questions before we get off here, because I know we're like wrapping up our time together.
All good.
But one like very random question that I have, and I'm going to ask like every guest this, because music is such like a unifying thing, I feel like, for people. And I think a lot of people like to find new music. So when you're feeling down or unmotivated or as if the world is falling apart, what's a song that will almost instantly boost your mood or like pull you out of a funk?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I mean, the one that's coming to mind is, so every gay gets a diva. And my diva is Mariah Carey, and Always Be My Baby will just be just one of those pop classics that just sends me into euphoria. I can picture, if you watch the video, Mariah's on a tire swing. It's just everything. But what I will often do is I will go, like, I'm one of those, I think it's a function of my ADHD, where I don't often discover new music, or I discover what is now maybe not so much new music much later than when it actually came out. Because I kind of listen to the same songs over and over. Like, I'm the type that will listen to literally the same song on repeat, like, for months. So what I'll do is I'll take my music library that doesn't, like, I'm not usually adding a whole lot of new stuff to it, and I'll just be like, all right, universe, what message do I need to hear today? What you got for me? What do I need to hear? What's up? And then I'll just hit shuffle and just let that experience take me. It's like, all right, this is what I needed, and whatever comes up, comes up.
I love that. I also do that too, and I give my Spotify like playlist way too much like emphasis on like the messages the universe wants me to hear sometimes.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, no, this is obviously clearly happening because of this situation.
Exactly.
But I love that, and Mariah Carey is always going to be a queen, so adore that.
So good. I'm so excited. I've never seen her in concert before, but she's bringing her holiday tour. She's coming to Raleigh, North Carolina, which is so close to me. And I'm like, I have to.
You have to.
I have to. There's no question. I've never seen my diva perform live. I have to do it.
Do you have tickets yet? Like, has she sold?
No, I believe they go on sale very, very soon at the time of recording this. I believe. I have it on my calendar. I hope I got my date right.
Oh my God. You have to obviously let me know when you get tickets, because you're going.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm
not missing this.
See all about it.
I don't care if I have to buy a resale in the nosebleed. Like, scalp me. I'm going to see that show.
So one other question I want to ask everybody that comes on the podcast is, what's in your rejection rescue toolkit? So if like you get told no, if you have somebody say something mean or like put you down, what do you do for self-care to like honor yourself and remind yourself like you have value and you're amazing and that you deserve good things?
Yeah. That's a great question. One thing I will do is, and it's, I think, another reframe, as we've been talking about rejection in terms of choice. I know probably anyone listening, I imagine, has heard of rejection as redirection. Yeah, I mean, true, very popular. Yes. Yes, but the one that really helps me is that rejection is clarity. Like, this person is letting me know in no uncertain terms exactly what they think, how they feel, how I fit into their life, and it is not up for me to question that. This is not an opportunity to chase. This is not an opportunity to try and get them to like me, to sort of fix the situation, to sort of let them know, wait, you don't want to let me go? Look how great I am. I can do like X, Y, like all these amazing things, right? Kind of an opportunity to prove yourself. No, absolutely not. Rejection is clarity. Now I know exactly where I stand with this person and how I fit or don't fit into their life. And that is just very validating in many ways, because as indecisive, often confused Libra, what's to be indecisive about? What's to be confused about? Rejection is clarity. And so now I can move on. I can truly move on, allow myself to feel whatever I'm feeling. That's a part of it. You got to move through it. You can't run around or run past it. You got to move through it. Working on just some of those mindset tips as well. If you tend to internalize of just really, God, now I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, like whatever that inner monologue is like no, rejection was clarity. You get to make a choice now as well. And just practicing that self-compassion too, that patience with yourself. We haven't talked a ton about mental health, but I want to mention depression here, because that has been a huge part of my story and my experience. And so when that rejection happens, I feel like for the depressed person, it just feels like your whole world is crashing, like it's just over. But you were okay before, and you're going to be okay after too. Like, just remind yourself of that. Your life, absent of this person that is rejecting you, is ultimately aligning you with the people, places, and things that will inevitably for you, if indeed you're open to new experiences.
I love that you brought mental health into it. I know that's something that we talked about a lot when I was on your podcast, and mental health is so important. And I do think that it plays a huge role in kind of how one handles like being met with rejection or any sort of just like negativity, really. And so I think that, and I struggle with negativity, because I like the way that you said rejection is clarity, because that can be a positive thing too. And I think like making it, we give it such a bad rep, but like there is so much power in being told no as well. In some ways. I love that. I love everything that you just said. Benjamin, thank you so very much for being here.
Oh my gosh.
I really appreciate it. As a parting words of wisdom, do you have any advice that you would like to share with the listeners here? Anybody who may be just re-entering the dating scene, anybody who may be attempting to flirt for the first time, like any advice, any parting words of wisdom?
I think the advice is thanks for listening, and come on over to Flirtstagram and Flirt Talk, right? The Flirtations Flirtcast streaming everywhere. I think, you got some more questions about flirting, dating. You want to learn more about me and my story, or just be able to ask me more questions. Flirt Friday happens every Friday on Flirtstagram or Instagram and stories. I go live. So I think that's the advice. Come on over. Let's like continue the conversation and keep connecting. And I'd be happy to help in any way I can.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I think you are doing amazing work, and you all listening definitely need to go check out Benjamin's Flirtcast, because it is top tier. It brings me joy every week.
And you're on there. Yeah, check out Jessica's episode.
We talk a lot about mental health. We talk a lot about dating with a disability. There's a lot to be discussed.
Yes, that was a great episode, and congratulations on your podcast. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. I think I'm going to say this. Thank you for being the first person that I've interviewed on here.
You crushed it.
Really
you crushed it.
Thank you. You helped me do it scared, but you brought so much positive energy. So thank you.
It's my flirt pleasure. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Access Denied. New episodes launch every Tuesday, so I hope that you will subscribe, download, whatever you do to make sure you're here every single week. We have so many incredible guests coming on, and I want to say a huge shout out to JP Warner Sound for dropping this sick beat that you're listening to right now. Thanks to everybody who made Access Denied possible, and I will see you next time. Bye!